Welcome again to another episode of the Washington SXM podcast. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, click that bell to get notified whenever I drop a video. So we're gonna check out a video today about with South Africa and Russia doing a giant military operation and how the West were up in uproar. So looking at the hit, come like the fact that Africa as a continent is kind of rejecting America. The one, not America specifically, but the West and the whole of Europe. So looking into it and see what's going on.
South Africa is set to welcome a Russian naval task force to its shores, despite criticism from some quarters. The Russian Navy's Black Sea Fleet is scheduled to make a port call in Simonstown, a naval base located about 50 kilometers south of Cape Town, as part of a training exercise. Operation Mosey, which means smoke, will take place from February 17th to 26th. South Africa's reluctance to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine and its decision to allow sanctioned Russian vessels to dock at its ports have already ramped up tensions with the US, UK, and European Union who are backing Ukraine in the conflict. The country's biggest opposition party questioned the wisdom of going ahead with the exercises. The visit, which is set to take place next month, will be the first time that Russian warships have docked in South Africa in over a decade. The task force will be made up of the frigate Admiral Essen, the submarine Krasnodar, and a support vessel. The ships will be open to the public for visits during their stay in South Africa. The decision to allow the Russian warships to dock in Simonstown has been met with some criticism. Critics have raised concerns about the optics of South Africa welcoming a Russian naval task force at a time when tensions between Russia and the West are high. Some have also pointed out...
Stick up in there before going further. South Africa is a sovereign nation, have its own government, its own president, the whole nine, just like any other sovereign nation. And I don't say the uproar, they say there's an uproar with it, but don't forget, South Africa is in BRICS, which is the acronym for the Brazil, Russia, India, China correlation with South Africa, right? So why would South Africa in this regard go against one of its own members of the BRICS, which is trade, they're doing trade, business, everything in it that the G20 or the NATO, not NATO, the G20 or the G7 or whichever number it is now do. This is what BRICS is. Remember, BRICS have their own bank, and they are now looking to create their own currency, and it will be backed by one of the strongest thinking back any currency, which is oil and gold. Africa have the most gold, Russia have the most oil, and now Saudi Arabia going to join very soon. And South Arabia is a giant when it comes on to oil like Russia. So the currency are going to be super strong. So why would South Africa, go against this just because of what the West asking them to sanction Russia? It makes no sense for South Africa, to me, in this sense. So America, money, government, I'm telling you, 10 years from now, the US dollar won't be as strong as how it is now, because with the BRICS ever-growing alliances, and since they have their own bank and they're going to create a new currency, what's going to happen? So I'm with South Africa on this. America don't dictate the world. If you want to use Ukraine as a proxy to fight Russia, because remember, America economy is not that booming, and they have much homeless people, but they don't have money to pay teachers and firefighters and all that, but they have money to send billions on top of billions of dollars to Ukraine to help fight war, which is shouldn't be their issue anyway. So they spend over almost $100 billion on a war in Ukraine that's not theirs, and they can't feed their own people, clothe their own people. They don't have enough shelters for their homeless. They can't pay teachers, but you have money to fight war though.
That South Africa is a member of the Western-led North Atlantic Treaty Organization and should not be welcoming Russian warships.
I mean, they are part of BRICS.
However, the South African government has defended the decision to allow the Russian naval task force to dock in Simonstown. In a statement, the South African Ministry of Defense said that the visit is a routine port call and is in line with the country's policy of maintaining friendly relations with other nations. The ministry also pointed out that South Africa has a long-standing tradition of welcoming ships from other navies to its ports. However, the shadow defense minister of the Democratic Alliance, Cobus Murray, gives a contrary view, and he states, "This gives the impression of not being neutral, but being biased to one side. Clearly, it can alienate us from other important trade partners."
No, it can't.
"This is in the best interests of Russia," Murray said, calling it another bad judgment and an embarrassment.
Yeah, you
While
with the
the
West, of
exercise
course.
follows a similar event in 2019, it comes about a year after Russia invaded Ukraine, an event that brought into the open South Africa's close ties with Russia due to historical support for the African country's liberation struggle and their joint membership of the BRICS group of nations.
Stick up in again. And don't forget, remember when Mandela was in power? Remember Mandela do joint operations with, not military operation, but he joined with other countries that America was adamantly against. And remember what Mandela said in the question and answer forum, that your enemies is not my enemies, and that says it all. Your enemies is not my enemies. So Russia is enemy to America. But is not. I mean, Russia is not enemies to South Africa. They do a lot of business with South Africa and a lot of trade. So why would they now turning back on them at this moment? So it makes no sense. Because then you'd be like an ungrateful friend, basically. And don't forget, they're in BRICS together.
It is thought that South Africa can improve relations with Russia by hosting the Russian Naval Task Force. The two nations have a long history of collaboration, and
Facts.
in recent years, South Africa has been eager to deepen its political and economic connections with Russia. Furthermore, it is believed that by making this decision, South Africa would show that it is committed to multilateralism and that it is willing to cooperate with other countries despite their political or ideological differences. If you enjoyed this video,
anyway, but they also have a joint training session that they're gonna do as well. So let's take a look at that.
South Africa's military declared on Thursday that it planned to hold joint training exercises with Russia and China off its coast next month, a move opposed by the U.S., which has been working to assemble other countries to isolate Russia over the Ukraine war. The exercises will take place on February 24, 1 year after the beginning of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Last year, South Africa was one of the 36 countries that chose not to participate in a UN vote to denounce Russia for allegedly annexing parts of Ukraine. In the past, South Africa has conducted military drills with Russia and China, as well as the United States and other NATO members. According to the South African National Defense Force, the planned drills, which will take place near the coastal towns of Durban and Richards Bay from February 17th to 27th, are a means to deepen the already blooming relations between South Africa, Russia, and China. The United States, which has supported a strategic alliance with South Africa for many years, promptly expressed its disapproval. The United States Embassy in Pretoria, South Africa, issued a statement in which spokesperson David Feldman stated, "We note with concern the plan by South Africa to move ahead with the joint exercises even as Moscow continues its brutal and unlawful invasion of Ukraine. We encourage South Africa to cooperate militarily with fellow democracies that share our mutual commitment to human rights and the rule of law," he continued. According to experts, the naval exercise is a demonstration of South Africa's diplomatic independence. This naval drill reaffirms South Africa's position that it would not allow the crisis between Russia and Ukraine to dictate its diplomatic relations.
Facts.
South Africa is a member of an alliance with Brazil, Russia, India,
and
I
said
China,
that earlier.
known by the
There are
acronym
members
BRICS.
in BRICS.
Although the European Union is South Africa's main trading partner, the African National Congress, the country's ruling party, has long had close ties to both Russia and China because of their support in the struggle against apartheid. Many South Africans who spearheaded the fight to topple the apartheid regime studied and trained for the military in the Soviet Union. Members of the African National Congress a liberation party that would later rule South Africa, received military training from China as well. The joint naval drill is a heartening sign of friendship from a diplomatic partner for Russia, which has been subject to international sanctions since beginning the conflict, according to various analysts. Despite the lesser stakes, February's exercise will also serve as a reminder to China that the BRICS partnership is still a major player in the world, according to Elizabeth Sidiropoulos, director of the South African Institute of International Affairs. Even though BRICS isn't a military alliance like NATO, it still describes itself as a countervailing power against the West.
Naturally.
According to the Army, this will be the second such exercise undertaken in the presence of the three naval forces, the first having occurred in November 2019 in Cape Town, South Africa.
Stick up in before we go any further. As I said, I explained all of this earlier, right? How is it you want South Africa to turn their backs on China and Russia, in this case, Russia specifically, Russia, when Russia have done so much when it comes out to apartheid? I remember America didn't take part in apartheid, I helping African to come out of it. Instead, they try to destabilize Africa on a whole more than help Africa. So they can come out and tell a sovereign nation, do what I say. No, it don't work like that. We're a sovereign nation. We don't take part in that. So we help who help us. And China and Russia help. So we have to help them back. This is what a true partnership is. Not only when it suits me, and then I will turn my back against you in one time you need me the most. And that's America is great at doing that. Backstabbing other countries. Africa is staying true to their promise and to their partners. So that's a good look on South Africa. Big ups to the South African president.
Along with their Russian and Chinese counterparts, more than 350 South African military personnel from various services and divisions will participate in these maneuvers, according to the release, with the purpose of sharing skills and operational information. If you enjoyed this video,
Okay, I took this video from hold on, let me tell you where it comes from. Give me a minute. 1 minute. The New Africa channel. You can go and check it out. They do a lot of videos on Africa. Anyway, as I was saying, too bad for the US. You're not pleased as if you're some moral police. When I invade Iraq and Far Ocean and countries was, remember when America had attacked Iraq and toppled Saddam Hussein? Only one country that went with them when it was England. No other country joined with them. So why is it you don't think people are gonna see you as an aggressor there and as an unwelcome guest in their country? They can see you as terrorists. You understand? So that's how it works. So they attack the country regardless of what. Remember that whole debacle? So how now you wanna come in turn? And next country attack another country, and you want to join up with this country, and you do the same thing a couple of years ago to Iraq. You didn't care what no one says in the world. So okay, now come and put this demand on South Africa, who is a partner in the BRICS with, again, these super nations. And now, I'm sorry for America. You see, whenever Saudi Arabia finally become a member, then you're gonna be a giant to be reckoned with when you come on to the IMF or the World Bank. It's gonna be a big deal. So anyway, I'm glad this is gonna come to fruition. We'll see what happens in the next 10 years from now, roughly what happens with the BRICS and the G7 or G8 or the G20, whichever what it is now, because they always changing it, because they keep on kicking out countries. Once they don't ally with them, they kick you out. So this is what the BRICS is for. So you don't know. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. You don't know what it is. It's the Washington SXN podcast. Peace, one love. Boom.